quite stale here. I thought I would show you what I've been working on, or what I'm working on off and on, in the hope that I get it finished. I'm making a like my memory book, and it would be a number of signatures to put together, perhaps 3 or 4, and all the pages are very different and they're not necessarily the same size. So this is not a prescriptive sort of thing. This is just showing you what I'm doing, and it may not be what you want to do. It's not a pattern. I just make it up as I go along. So I think one of these is going to be the outside wrapper. So put that be for another signature. So I'm going to, when I finish them all, I'm working on some cotton and damask, and I've got a huge bag of fabric scraps and laces and bits and pieces, and as you can see, I'm extensively working in reds. And so I've got things like my red buttons and my red flower stitch feet, lots of them already, flowers for when I might want them, and different thicknesses, from painter's threads to some Valdani to machine thread, to all sorts of things, and some sort of bits and pieces. And I've got lots of other bits and pieces, but we'll come back to them. So just to show you what I've done, so that'll be the middle. This is one page, and you can see I'm going to dip it all in probably a tea dye when I finish, so it's quite white. And I've just used lots of different image transfer, which is what I'm at. I've still got more ideas of image transfer to try, but you know, various ones. I love working with image transfer. So I've done things like images and put them on and stitched. And as I said, it's a bit bland colour-wise, but it's going to be tea dye. It could be botanical dyed with it boiled up in your pot, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use tea, or I could use walnut ink, or I could use the Moonshadow mist with the sprays with the mica in. So this, I think, is possibly where that page will go over there. And this is another page that I'm working on. I've painted, I've done a few painted pages, so I've scanned them and printed them out and transferred them. And this is actually from my grandmother's poker work tray, so I've used those images. I've used different, this is a different transfer. I've done some with hexes that I'm stitching on. There's a sort of mallee of a variety of things there, and I shall stitch them all up. There's more stitch to come. Another one image which has still got to be attached to there, so we could perhaps put that one into here. And as you see, they're not going to be conservative. They're not going to all match and be the same size, not by any means. There's no restriction that you have to have everything compact. And I'll show you some of the other ones that I'm working on. I'm hoping to get this finished fairly soon. But I've got another one where I've used, this is from my family, this is the wrapping paper that the bread was always wrapped in, and my grandparents. And then back to this one again, I've used, like, that's some of the paper, again from the wrapping paper, and the cup and saucer from the Dustin's Bakery, and some of bits that I've done as well, and by overlaying and getting them merged in, and perhaps I might machine stitch into that, I don't know yet. And this is another one that I've done, and I've worked on cocoon strippings for this one, so it's very much a hodgepodge of different things that I've got. And this is a little collage I made, which I've scanned and printed out again. And this was my grandmother, the year she was born, her birth certificate, and so on. And this is part of a paper napkin and some lace. And I don't know a lot about her, so I don't know whether she had lace, but lace always works quite well. And some stitching, and also a cousin who wrote me a letter as part of the letter that I've transferred onto it. So there's heaps of ideas you can use in image transfer. And so perhaps this one can go into here as well. So you've got another page there. And then another one that I'm working on at the moment, I'm stitching it up. This is my grandparents' wedding certificate. So I've got things to add to that. And maybe I might add this one in. It's an image transfer with a few holes, but that's okay. We can stitch them up and enlarge them. Or I've got another one I've done on packing tape, which might be quite worthwhile as well. So this is where I am at the moment. And as you can see, you want to gather up, if you like this idea and you're working on it yourself, you want to gather up all bits and pieces. I was lucky enough to buy a giant bag of different fabrics and to stitch them up. Be prepared to tear them. I'm not concerned about neat edges or anything like that. This is just my thing. And this is another little one with writing, which could get into here somewhere. There's many more that I've got to play around with. So yeah, I hope that's given you a little idea. Well, I've also my buttons. I've got to work out where to put my buttons somewhere, perhaps when I put it all together, because it'll have a, you know, the stitching, the signature stitching here, and maybe the buttons will hang on the front or do something like that. Anyway, there's an idea, and I hope you've found some interest out of that, and I'll see you again another time. Bye.